let's get right to it. So yesterday, Mary Kay Cab at Cleveland.com said Deandre Hopkins to the Browns is a long shot. The Browns were the favorites in Vegas. I don't know that that's worth much in a situation like this, but I think we all thought there was a reasonable chance DeAndre Hopkins would be here.
I have the exact quote, too, if you'd like to read that.
Yes, please.
Steve, let's take 181 full here. This is from Mary Kay's article. Quote, but the Browns are happy with their current receiving core and aren't looking to add a big-name, high-priced player such as Hopkins at this time. It's currently unlikely to happen, but he's also in the never-say-never category.
Now, that's a quote from Mary Kay. It's not necessarily a quote from someone else. You know, obviously she has her ins with the team. She has connections with the team as much as anybody that covers the team. Clearly, this information is coming from the team. And if you read the article, the team just isn't interested for whatever reason. That's the way it seems, Jason. We thought maybe that DeAndre Hopkins wouldn't be interested in the Browns. I don't know if he is or isn't, but the way this article reads from Mary Kay is that the team is not really interested in him. I obviously disagree with that. I think they should be, but it is what it is. The fact that he's visiting the Titans to me means he doesn't necessarily care about winning, but I don't know. What's your take on this?
Well, I think there's a lot of tentacles to this and a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Number one, I've maintained all along I didn't think he was coming here, so I'm not really surprised by this. If DeAndre Hopkins really truly wants to come to Cleveland and Deshaun Watson really truly wants him, he's gonna come here. But I just don't think that that's aligning. I don't care what guys say publicly. I don't care. What are they supposed to say?
Yeah.
What's Deshaun supposed to say when he's asked, do you want DeAndre
Right, of
here?
course, yeah.
But no, screw him. We don't need, he's not going to say that.
Yeah.
So I just don't pay attention to what they say when cameras are rolling and record. But behind closed doors, the conversations that Deshaun has with Browns personnel, the conversations that DeAndre is having with his agent, if they really want to align, it will align. Anything short of that, he's not coming here. And for the Browns' perspective, you know, we weren't even having this discussion until obviously he was released by the Cardinals, and then all of a sudden everyone became obsessed with DeAndre Hopkins coming here. But it's sort of like last year when the suspension went to 11 games, and I kept advocating for Jimmy Garoppolo because you're not going to win anything with Jacoby Brissett, and Brissett played better than we thought, but he still wasn't top-tier quarterback. But the Browns had an eye on the cap and what they could roll over into this year, and I think it's sort of the same thing is – they're going to be as of now, they're going to be in absolute cap hell next year. They're like $30 million over the cap. So every dollar they can roll from this year into next year will help. So it feels a little bit like that again. And the Browns, I'm sure they do feel comfortable because, again, before DeAndre became available, everyone here was raving about all the moves that the Browns made in the offseason and everything looks great and everything's wonderful and they upgraded the receiving core. All of that is still true. So I do think that they're comfortable with what they have in the room. I do think that they are content with where things stand. So I'm not surprised by really any of this. But again, if DeAndre really wants to come here and Deshaun truly does want him, which we're not going to know because it's all about the private conversations, not what they say publicly, I still think something will get done. I just don't think that that's the case.
Gee.
You know, for me, what this screams of is he wants one more payday. It always seems to change your mind about where you are in life based upon your friends, right? Like, you know, sometimes we've all had friends who've gotten their first real job first, and you're kind of doing odds and ends jobs, and you still maybe not be working full-time, part-time, doing a couple things here. And then the first thing you notice is like, well, damn, you got a new house, huh? That's a nice apartment. Well, wow, the car got upgraded. Okay. And you could be feeling good about your situation over here. You feeling like, okay, well, you know, I'm not working full-time, but, you know, I got some expendable income. But what happens is you look around the league, and DeAndre Hopkins has to be looking around and looking at Odell Beckham Jr. and being like, I mean, this dude ain't played in years. He was the guy that we was thinking it was going to take, you know, $4 or $5 million or whatever the case may be. When they talk about 15 guaranteed and 18 up to 18, it makes you think a little bit different. And DeAndre Hopkins in his mind is like, well, look, I don't know what his spending habits is, and I'm not going to put that out there like he's reckless with money or anything. But I know how it can be when you say, hey, I want one more bite at the apple. Like right now, I'm in my early 30s. I know that this is going to be the biggest check probably I'm going to get the rest of my career, no matter what I do with the production on the field. So for some people, that check at the end of the day, to take care of your family or to make yourself comfortable as you get older, it takes priority over the winning situation.
He's made over $100 million though.
Hey, man.
If his family's not comfortable now, they're never going to be.
Well, here's the thing. Some people, we automatically think, Jason, people prioritize that ring over that bag, and they don't be like that.
A lot of guys, it's never enough.
No, I hear you, but let me just say this. First of all, you say, well, what they say publicly doesn't matter. Of course that's true. I agree.
115 million.
Also, comments like Mary Kay's comment about, well, the Browns like their wide receivers, they're happy. Well, that's also what else are they going to say?
Right.
Are they going to come out and say, well, we're not really happy with our wide receiving core, but we can't afford DeAndre Hopkins? They're not. The teams don't tell the truth either. Now, they didn't come out and publicly said that. But
everyone has been raving about how great the Browns receiving core looks now with the additions they've made this offseason.
But listen, the Browns wide receiving core is definitely better than it was last year on paper. Mm-hmm. We got to remember it's on paper. Mm-hmm. No fan base, I think, does a better job of overhyping their talent than the Browns.
Oh, they all do. They all do. But the Browns are exquisite.
We're near the top.
Yes.
We're near the top because we're so desperate for it. We're so desperate for it. The bottom line to me is this idea that we got to roll over the cap and they're way over the cap. I feel like they've been talking about the Saints have been over the cap for a decade, and every year you find a way. You find a way. I know at some point it catches up with you. You look at the Vikings here. Okay, now they've had to cut Dalvin Cook. You got to make sure that when you get to that point where you got to start cutting guys because of the cap, because it will happen eventually, that you have good enough players to back them up and it's not a big deal. Good organizations do that.
Nobody in the league has a quarterback with a $50 million cap hit except the Browns. Nobody.
Fine. But there's a few teams that are close, and now there's some others that are coming, right?
Yeah.
Philadelphia's going to be there. Cincinnati's going to be there
Not
soon.
At 50. I don't think it'll be 50. And they restructured it this year.
Yeah.
But now they're going to have to do it again next year.
So then you keep doing it?
But I'm just saying, every dollar that you can roll over helps.
Right.
And it comes down to.
But what are you rolling it over for? What are you rolling it over for? Because in this AFC, there are at least 3 teams that are way more proven than the Browns are. At least 3, right? That have accomplished more, that are better, that the Browns, that even if they're not, maybe the Browns get up to that level, but they got to prove it. And those teams are loaded. And everything, we're excited because the Browns wide receiving core is better. I think it's better. I like Elijah Moore. But let's face it, that's all they did was Elijah Moore. Now, they drafted a kid to throw out. They drafted David Bell last year. He was useless.
Right.
I don't know that this kid can play.
Right.
Well, nobody knows if he can play. So Elijah Moore is better than whoever they were using as their third receiver last year. How much better is he? I'm not sure.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think on 98% of what you're saying, because if Hopkins wants to come here and Deshaun wants him, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It is an upgrade, but I just don't think that all those pieces are aligned. So I don't think this is a realistic conversation.
So you saying there's more on DeAndre Hopkins than it is with
all
the
on
Browns.
Hopkins. This is DeAndre's going to go where DeAndre wants to go. He is
That's
driving
true.
this whole thing, and I just don't think it's a realistic. And I'm not going to sit here and kill the Browns for it. Because I just don't think I never thought it was very realistic. I've said that from the start.
But you brought up the cap, so that makes it seem like, well, the money's a factor here.
Well, no, I brought up the cap as why they would keep one eye on things and why maybe they aren't willing to spend $18 million or whatever top dollar on DeAndre. But again, if DeAndre really wants to come to Cleveland, maybe he doesn't take the 18.
They make it work. Yeah,
that's kind of the point
They're
trying
not
to
going
make.
to say. You're right. Ultimately, if DeAndre Hopkins wants to be here and Deshaun Watson wants him here, he's going to be
it's
here.
It's going to work.
I do think G is right. I think the absurd Odell Beckham contract, and it's absurd.
It's absurd.
Has probably affected the DeAndre Hopkins
Absolutely.
market.
Yeah.
Because DeAndre Hopkins is better than Odell.
And you know he's telling his agent, listen, if he's sitting there, and for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins who gets cut, right, he's expecting that phone to be ringing today. Hey, let's get DeAndre in. Can we get a visit? How much you work? That phone ain't been ringing like that. And when it does not ring, players then they go to their agent and say, why is the phone ringing? We need to drum up something. You ain't got no teams that's interested, so you go to a team and it's like the Titans.
And the fact that he's visiting the Titans tells you with 100% certainty that it's if not all, 99% about the money.
I thought it was interesting what Vrabel said of like, I'm done recruiting guys. I don't recruit anymore. I recruited in college. We want guys who want to be here. It was almost like
that's dope.
It was almost like you're not going to use us to drive up the price elsewhere.
Right. Yes.
If you want to come here, you're welcome to come here, but you're not going to use us. I thought that was really interesting.
And think about it like this. It seems like I'm going to Tennessee to drive the price up because Tennessee has one of the worst quarterback situations in the AFC of teams that are decent. Like, you got Tannehill, you don't know if
I
you're going to
just
play
don't know
with
that
him.
they're decent anymore. I think they're going down the shitter.
I don't know.
Will
I love
Levis,
Vrabel.
Willis.
Vrabel's 10-7, 9-8, no matter what the talent. Like, he
What
gets
was
the
their
most
record
out of it.
last year? Didn't they finish under 500?
They were 8-9. They tied
Yeah.
with the Jaguars, but the
I
Jaguars
just
were the
don't
tiebreaker.
like. They got Derrick Henry and what?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if he goes to Tennessee, I think we could all agree that he's out here just trying to get as much money as
Yeah,
he possibly
sure.
can. And there's nothing
And that's
wrong with
his
that.
right.
There's
That's
nothing
his
wrong
and
with that.
that's his right. Sure.
Yeah. Go make every dollar.
I just would think that, like, again, I'm not in that situation. If I were a supreme athlete that was great enough to make $150 million as a wide receiver, maybe I'd feel differently. But me being a fat, out-of-shape guy who was never good enough in football, I think to myself, I made $150 million. I think I'd rather win than make every last dollar. That's what I would do. I think I would do, but I don't know.
There's a happy medium out there. There's a nice number that says, hey, I'm getting a lot of money, plus I got a chance to win. I think he's trying to get to that point. Get to that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, to me, if he's going to Tennessee, he's not interested in winning at all.
And I always say this: money is such a crazy thing. One point in time, we didn't think we was getting Deshaun Watson. At one point in time, Deshaun Watson told the Browns, he physically called them, nah, dog, this is not going to happen. And guess what? 24 hours later, he got signed. Funny how money worked. Now, the Tennessee Titans come out and give him $5 million offer, and the Browns have more money to give, it might happen. And I love what Jason said, the one thing. If Deshaun Watson, always read between the lines, if he really, really, really was like all hands on deck, I need to get this dude right now, they get him. Because guess what? Jason said it. He the only person that's on the books for $50 million. And if somebody for $50 million want a rental, they'll find the money to get the rental. But what he gonna say?
If Deshaun tells Jimmy Haslam, go get me Deandre Hopkins,
He's there.
It'll get done.
It'll get done.
That's right. I just think, while I like what the Browns have done at wide receiver, and I think they're going to be better, I think we got to realize that they've added nobody that's proven. Like,
Offensively, at least. Defensively, they have.
no, I'm talking about wide receivers.
Oh,
specifically.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore, he hasn't done much in his first 2 years with the Jets.
But I'm thinking, what if Deshaun Watson says, look,
Yeah.
I like D Hop, that's my man. I can't say he lost a step. I can't just tell him, nah, we ain't going. He's like, yo, like if D Hop is on the market and they ask him in a conversation, well, who you going to look to? Who you looking to if it's third down? Who was in your pecking order? He like, listen, Mark Cooper gonna get most of the targets. I like Elijah Moore. I want him in on third down all the time. He's throwing to these guys. Like, he may be telling them behind the scenes, like, look, I mean, I can't come out and say that that's my guy. I can't come out and say that I don't want him. What am I going to say in the situation? But what we're going to do is we're just going to play the corporate role.
I don't know. I mean, when the guy played last year and he played with nobody, who the hell was his quarterback? Colt McCoy? Most of the games?
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Colt McCoy because Kyler Murray got injured.
I mean,
week 11,
Colt McCoy's-
I'll confirm.
I would
awful.
do it. You know where
And
I
the guy
stand.
still put up wide receiver one numbers on a crapola team with a crapola quarterback. So
I stand.
I get it,
see
he's
where you're
old,
going.
but ultimately, I can't get mad at the Browns if it's
Right.
not their fault.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I think in the end, you're right. If Watson and Hopkins want it to happen, the Browns are not going to say, no, sorry, guys.
Right.
So
I
I
think
will give the
Hopkins
Browns
played one game with Murray, by the way.
What's that?
I think he played one game with Kyler.
one game
last
with
year.
Kyler Murray. I would say that in the end, if Hopkins signs somewhere else, I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to blame the Browns for it.
Tennessee is where veteran receivers go to die.
I still can't believe they traded A.J. Brown. What did they get in that?
I don't get it.
A first-round pick and a future second or something like
Yeah,
that.
all right.
But not nearly the haul that you would expect for a guy.
And who'd they use that first-round pick on?
A receiver, wasn't it?
Yeah, Traylon Burks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's slated right now? If the season were to start today,
He'd be their number one receiver.
he'd be their number one receiver.
I mean, he
and
was
he'd be
okay
the
as
worst
a
number
rookie.
one in the NFL, though.
But
I didn't see much.
yeah, they're a real run heavy team, obviously.